If you are a parent and you have a child who is interested in becoming a physical therapist and you want to know where to start, what the career path looks like, this information is going to be perfect for you. My name is Chris Garcia. I'm the CEO and founder of a physical therapy company, a fitness and health company in San Diego, California called Sports Performance Physical Therapy. And I created this episode, this content for you because I had so many parents asking, where should my child start? What is a normal path for a physical therapist? They're interested in the profession, but I'm not sure if it's for them. How do I get more information? So the more advice I kept giving out, I realized that there was a lot of people with the same questions, the same interest. So I thought I'd share it with you. So before I talk about the ins and outs of the profession, I just want to give you a little background about myself and how my information can help you, your child, and anybody who is interested in the profession. Please feel free to share this information. As I mentioned, I'm a physical therapist. At the time of this recording, I've been a physical therapist for 14 years. I've done a doctorate in physical therapy. I also completed a residency in sports physical therapy. I have a specialist certification. I've worked in professional sports for many years, nearly a decade. I traveled around the world with professional athletes. I've been on admission committees into doctorate programs for physical therapy. I helped start a curriculum for a physical therapy school in San Diego. I've written letters of recommendation and I've helped students get into the #1 school in the country for several years. And I am a proud owner of a fantastic business of physical therapy in San Diego that we've helped students, high school students, community college, 4-year degree school students get into college, or excuse me, get into physical therapy school. And I want to share all the advice that I've given to parents and individuals just like you, because they're the same questions. We all have the same questions. And me going through physical therapy school, I'll give you a little insight into my journey, but everyone's going to be different. But what I'm going to give is a general framework of what does a typical path look like into physical therapy. Who is it for, who changes their mind, and who is it not for later down the line. And I'll share some stories. And then what to do if you think that your child is fully committed to this next journey in their life, which I'm biased. I think it's the best, absolute best profession on the planet. But that's my personal bias. What does a typical path look like to become a physical therapist? And this is going to change or vary per state, per program. And so I'm going to give you a general outline. Most schools nowadays require a doctorate of physical therapy. So what that means is after high school, you're going to go to get a college degree in whatever degree you want. Actually, fun fact, you don't have to have a degree in any one thing specifically. It can be any category, any emphasis, and all you have to have is prerequisites to get in physical therapy school. So you need a bachelor's degree in anything that you want. You're then going to go apply to physical therapy school. And just like college, when going from transitioning from high school to college, you have to take your SAT and then have letters of recommendation and have an entry essay. And that's going to be exact same for PT school. So at the time of this recording, you have to take your GRE, which is a graduate level SAT, and letters of recommendation and observation hours and essays and things like that. And then you're going to get into your doctorate program. Now, there are masters of physical therapy programs. Now, what I would say is a lot of parents have asked me, is it worth it? Should my child plan on getting a doctorate, not a master's? I think the profession is heading in the direction that the doctorate will be mandatory, and that may or may not happen, but it's maybe 6 months to 1 year extra. And I think if the profession's heading there, I would highly recommend that. If you're already committed to that many years in school and your education, it's no real big difference. I think you just continue on with that. So you go into a doctorate program, and that's 3 years. So you have a 4-year undergraduate degree, and then you're going to continue with 3-year doctorate program. And now there are some schools in different states. Fun fact that you can get your degree you can get your undergraduate degree and physical therapy degree combined in 6 years. Now, these are hybrid programs and they do exist. I think about 5 in the country. There may be more, but ultimately you can look up hybrid undergrad and physical therapy degrees, and that allows people to consolidate everything and still have their doctorate within 6 years total. For some people, the profession is heading towards going into a residency style training, just like physicians. And there are now, I think there's 9 or 10 different specialties within physical therapy. So most people, when they come to me and they ask, hey, Chris, what type of physical therapy should they get into? Most people, by the time they find us, and our location and what we do, it's mainly sports physical therapy or orthopedics. So those who have had surgeries and you're trying to get them back to where they want to be, or you have high school students who want to run cross country, or college athletes, or whatever it is. And so people are involved in the fitness and the health and the sports world. So there's different specialties. So there's sports and orthopedics, there's neurology, working with individuals with different types of challenges to their nervous system. They have acute care, working in a hospital, maybe after a heart attack or any type of trauma, working there. There's wound care. So if people really have a strong passion for wounds and wound healing, there's geriatrics, helping other people who are older make sure that they have the best quality of life as they age. We also have women's health or gender health, people who have challenges with, pelvic floor pain, pelvic floor issues. So there's a variety, there's a gamut, and there's pediatrics, working with kids. So you can specialize. But the great part, the bias I have and the passion I have is that physical therapy can be flexible, meaning that you don't have to be locked into one specialty. Now, for a lot of people, they don't know this, but when you become a physician, an MD, a lot of times you have to become a specialist, and you take one exam and you go down that track, and it's very difficult or challenging to switch that track later down the line. It's possible, but in the physical therapy world, you can switch tracks in a day, tomorrow, in next hour, whatever it is. And so you can work in multiple fields or multiple specialties at the exact same time, meaning you can have 2 to 3 jobs at the same time, where you're specializing in maybe pediatrics for 20 hours and you're doing sports for 20 hours, or whatever that may be. Or you can find facilities that have different specialties built into them, and so you get a little bit of variation. Now, I know a lot of hospitals or large medical centers have where you can work with people in the hospital in acute injury management, and then you can work with geriatrics maybe in another area that works with people who've transitioned out, or a neurology, or whatever it is. And so you can kind of get this mix. Now, most people, if they're listening to this, it's because they're into orthopedics or sports. Now, in that world, now we're transitioning towards and offering residency training. And what that allows us to do is have a stronger emphasis. Physical therapy school gives you a very broad scenario of what it is that physical therapists can do. And we have to take a master national exam to show competency that we know how to manage a little bit of all the specialties. And now what the residency does is it allows you to really, really focus your attention. And so I did a residency in sports physical therapy, and that was about another year to year and a half. So I did a 4-year degree. Actually, I did mine in 5 years, and I took an extra year. I didn't take the track that I'm going to offer you today, and that I'm going to give you for advice. If you want your child to go through this in a streamlined fashion, and they're fully committed, I'm going to give you kind of the fastest expedited way to go down that track, and then I'll give you a couple different options. I personally, I came from a different background. The reason why I wanted to become a physical therapist is because I was born and raised by my grandmother, and she gave me a quality of life, and she worked, 2 jobs to get to help raise me, and at a time where we didn't have a lot of resources. She was working 2 jobs plus overtime, and at a point in her life, her hip was bothering her so much that she had had a total hip replacement. And I was around 12, 13 at the time. And this is before the internet and before cell phones. So I remember looking in the yellow pages, looking for a physical therapist. We didn't have insurance, so I had to find resources to help us find the solutions. So I called up a physical therapy office and asked if I could get some exercise to help my grandmother. Well, we didn't have a fax machine, so I took a bus, and I remember distinctly going to the physical therapy office and grabbing a pamphlet of exercises so I can help my grandma rehab. And it took several months, but I did it. I helped my grandma getting her quality of life back. And it was amazing to me to give that quality of life to the person who helped me with my quality of life and being able to contribute to their health. And that to me was the most impactful thing. And that's why that feeling has never left me. Anytime that I work with clients or athletes, or I don't care what the age or demographic is, I love the after effect, the wow factor that people have when they get back to running, or they're able to lift weights again or pick up their kids or whatever it is. That gives me so much gratification, and that's why I love being a physical therapist. And maybe your kids have that same kind of for that fire, that passion, whatever it is. And so I took 5 years. I actually was illiterate in up until about high school, end of high school. And I was very fortunate to meet some very, very impactful people in my life who gave me a bridge to do something bigger and better in my life. And I was in the wrong crowds, and some people helped direct me in the right place. And so my mission and vision, as I mentioned, I'm a CEO and founder of a sports performance physical therapy in San Diego. And one of my biggest goals currently is to give back to my community, to help people, and people who are interested in getting to this profession. I'm very passionate about it because I think it's the best on the planet. And so I am focused in on giving people that information that I wish I had earlier on. So I went to undergrad at San Diego State University, and while I was learning to read and write, I was also taking classes, and I met some people who allowed me different opportunities, and they pushed me in the right direction. They offered me opportunities in research, and open doors for me. And so I took 5 years, and I went to school in St. Louis, Missouri. I went to a school called Washington University in St. Louis. And at the time, it was the #1 program in the country. I was very, very honored. And I started out with a DPT PhD program, which for some people didn't know that that's possible. So PhD allows people to do research. Maybe your child is very involved and they like the science part, but maybe they don't want to treat people all day. There's also other options to do research behind the scenes. So I did that, and then I continued on with the sports residency, and I went on with that. So just know that the normal track can vary, but the general outline is a 4-year degree, a 3-year doctorate degree, and then opportunities if they want to. It's not required if they want to do a residency, and so on. So uh, so that's a typical path to PT. And that's the outline of the schooling and education. And I think it's really important that you know that and your child knows that, because the path may seem long to some people, and it's not. Coming from my background, had I thought about it, I just went week to week, month to month, year to year, just trying to figure out how I can, get into the profession and just work and just put my head down and go. And for some people, they think about the long track, and that deters them. And I would say it's not hard. If I did it, anybody could do this, honestly. And I think it just requires the right people on your side. And if you're listening to this, you're an amazing parent who's looking out for their child and making the right decisions for themselves. So I understand where you're at. I have 3 kids. At the time of this recording, I have a 11-month-old, a 3-year-old, and a 5-year-old. And so I understand looking out for their future is important. And so knowing where they're at, I have a lot of parents who will say, ask me this when their kids are in middle school or in high school. Oh, you're ahead of the game. Some are in college, and then maybe they're in their junior, senior year. And so my advice changes based on where you're at. So if you know the outline, don't be deterred. Just know that this is normal schooling and education for this profession. Okay, so your child, you and your child need to be committed to this, because this is uh, a a very fun track. However, it requires a lot of things to happen at the right times, so that way your child stays on track to complete the degree in 4 years, to get into the schools that they need, so they don't waste an extra summer, winter, or extra time or money. And so I'm going to give you who this profession is for. What are the qualities that I see in typical physical therapists? So if you can kind of compare to your child, and I understand that kids as they age, whether that's in high school or college, their personality is going to change. But I need to tell you who this is for. Now, and why I say this is as I mentioned, I've helped students get into PT school. I employ physical therapists, so I understand what it takes to be a successful one, and an owner operator of a business that is focused on phenomenal customer service. So the qualities I'm going to give you are those that have been successful in the orthopedic and sports realm. Okay, so this is for my domain, my specialty. Now, it might vary for, if they want to go do a different specialty, such as neurology, whatever it is, but I see the same trends. So here's it for. Number one, it's for people who enjoy being around people all day long. And what I mean by that is, if your child has a cup of where they can be around people for so long, and that cup is very, very small. And so as people take a little bit out of that cup, and they take a little bit of their energy, and they don't have a very large cup, that becomes very challenging in this profession. You're around people all day. Depending on your setting, you might see anywhere from 8 to 20 people a day. And you have to understand, people are in pain when they come to see you. They need help. So we're in the game, we're in the profession of service and helping people. And I think you cannot forget that. Our mission is to help people feel better, so that they can enjoy the life they always dreamed of, or envisioned, or they had at one time in their life. People are trying to achieve something. And so we're just trying to facilitate that. And so sometimes when people come in, they have to understand that they're in pain. They might not be in the best condition possible. They're frustrated. Maybe they can't exercise because they're in pain. Maybe they can't move their hands or legs because they just had a stroke. They're frustrated most of the time. And now when you get them to a better quality of life, that changes. However, depending on those 8 to 20 people you see a day, you might get a variation in, maybe 4 people are doing great and 4 people not. And sometimes you feel like the worst person in the world. Sometimes you feel like the best physical therapist on the planet. And so you have to know that it is a very people intensive job. Or profession. Now, you don't have to be an extrovert. It just means that you just have to enjoy being around people. And if your child doesn't tolerate being around people much, I will say those individuals have a challenge doing well in the profession. And what I don't want you to do is waste time, energy, or money into investing in somebody's education who it might not be a fit for. So it's better to find this out earlier. And that's the advice I'm giving you today. So who else is it for? Just know that we talked about, you're dealing with people all the time. They might have, challenges in their life, and that might not be the most positive. So you have to be okay with dealing and managing that. Typically, physical therapists enjoy fitness. They enjoy working out. They enjoy being around people. They're positive. They're smiley. They literally enjoy being outside. And because they enjoy working out, or just doing some type of fitness, maybe they enjoy hiking or tennis or whatever it is, they want to help other people enjoy that same quality of life. And like I said, I'm talking about the orthopedic and sports world. So who's that for? So who is it not for? Who do I see changing their mind later down the line? Either it's their first year college, their last year college, or they even got into PT school. I have met people who went into PT school. They didn't do a lot of the work on the front end. They didn't do all the advice that I'm going to give you today. And they get into physical therapy school, accrue debt, and they decide in their first year it's not for them. It does happen. And that's why I say do as much homework as you possibly can to make sure this is the thing that they want and that they're suited for. And now if they want it, it's hard to deter them, but just know the qualities of who have challenges in the profession. Okay, here they are. Those who don't enjoy being around people, that they maybe they get really frustrated with people who are having, pain, or they're not the most positive people at the moment. People who don't enjoy uh, physical close contact with people. Now, why is it important? Because if I am working on somebody's back and they have back pain, I might have to, do some massage or therapy techniques on that, and I might have to be in close contact. So if your child doesn't enjoy physical contact, or they don't like being touched or touching others, that might be challenging for them, because in PT school, you practice so much. You're literally working on ankles or knees or hips or necks all day long, because you have to feel confident helping others. And so if they don't like physical touch or being in close contact, they might struggle with the profession. So what else do they struggle with? People who don't enjoy science. Now, they don't have to love science, but there is a lot of science involved in the profession of physical therapy. Now, once you become a practitioner, there's still research, but you're not necessarily doing more science. Now, you just need the science fundamentals to get into physical therapy school, and there are still continued science courses in physical therapy school. So if they don't enjoy science, it might be a longer road for them. It doesn't deter, just know that it can have a longer track for them. So ultimately, I think that the people I see succeed are the ones that they just love what they do. And what I mean by that is, for me, my why was my grandma. She was the person who I helped gain her quality of life back, and that feeling is what has never left me. Now, that gives me fulfillment in what I do. So I have to love what I do, no matter what it is. I have to love it. So if somebody's having a bad day, it doesn't matter, because I know what's on the other side of my treatment. I know that I can get you a certain point, and that to me is the goal I strive for. Whether it's your kid or your family member, your grandmother, your aunt, your uncle, I have that same goal. And I know that you're frustrated right now, but I'm going to get you to that point. And if you can see that, those people are more successful in this profession. And so we now know who it's for. We now know who it's not for, or the people will have a difficult time with that. It might have a longer track. And you as a parent just need to know that going in. If they're passionate about it, it's hard to fight passion, but just know what might be coming down that pathway. All right. So now that we know who it's for and who it's not for, let's see, what would you say, people have asked me, what would you say is ideal track for somebody in middle school or in high school or in college? So I'm going to give a couple different scenarios. If you said, hey, in an ideal scenario, if I had my child who was interested in middle school, what would you do? All right. Now, as I mentioned, I'm based out of San Diego, California. And if you are a client of ours, or you're a parent of a client of ours, or you've seen us and now your kids are getting older and they're interested in our profession, we're very fortunate to have some high schools in our San Diego area that offer sports medicine classes. And that is gold. That is one of the best things you can set your kids up with. If there's a school that has a track for sports medicine. Now, one of the schools in our area has a track that begins, I think, in their sophomore or junior year, and it's 1, 2, or 3 years of sports medicine experience. Wow, that's amazing. So I would highly recommend that. If your school doesn't have it, no problem. Another option is to get them into more biology or anatomy classes if they're in middle school or high school classes. Now, typically high schools will offer the anatomy classes. Why is that important? Because you want them to get exposure of what it's going to feel like and what it involves before they make this big decision in college. And all you're doing is just giving baby steps into what the future holds. If not, maybe look for fitness and health or nutrition courses that some high schools may offer, and some community colleges may offer online courses that they can start in their senior year that are online, that may get them a better idea if this is for them. What I would do hands down, as a middle schooler, high schooler, the minute that I can get my kids certified, I would get them CPR certified. Now, CPR certified is, regardless if you're going to be a physical therapist or not, I think that that's critical for everybody. You never know when you'll actually need it. I think if your kid's in middle school or high school and you get them into a sports medicine class, anatomy class, a fitness class, a nutrition class, and they're CPR certified, they have a wealth of knowledge, maybe even beyond what a parent may even know in the sports medicine or anatomy world, but they have this a wealth of knowledge. Now they are going in college strong, knowing that this is something they're very interested in. They're confident knowing that. I would begin observation hours. So for a lot of middle schoolers and high schoolers, uh, you have opportunities to do unpaid. Some programs will offer paid, but typically it's unpaid observation hours. And these are like internship hours. And what I would do is just get them to do maybe 2 to 5 hours a week. Find a local physical therapy clinic that you love and that you trust, and just throw them in there. Apply, ask them if they have opportunities, and allow them to see what a day looks like. And try different companies and try different facilities. If they are interested in orthopedics or sports medicine, have them go to that type of facility, and maybe a neighboring one or one down the road, so that they can see what the difference is, and they can actually feel it and look at it and be like, wow, this is what I can totally picture myself doing every day, and I will love it. Now, at the same time, I would have them begin to look for a mentor. I know that sounds like a lot if they're in high school, but you believe it or not, at Sports Performance Physical Therapy in San Diego, we have high schoolers that are coming to us asking for opportunities, and I see so much value in that. It hits a special place in my heart. So anytime if your kids are interested, just let us know. We are all about our community, and we're all about giving back. I know what that feels like, and I would give the same opportunity to people who are interested. So I wouldn't say no. It's just a matter of when. And so have them begin to look for a mentor. And the benefit of doing all this, sports medicine track or anatomy or health or online classes or CPR or observation hours, begin to looking for a mentor, is that you're getting them exposed to what reality can be for them. And maybe it might be too soon for them, but for the right person, if your kid is motivated, and we all know who those individuals are. Sometimes they're gung-ho and they want to do it. So for those, it's great because you save time and money, and they can figure out, man, this is not for me. Absolutely not. And that benefit is worth so much for them to find out it's not the profession for them. That way you don't waste any years in college. Now, I'm going to lead into the college scenario, but know that the flexibility of this profession is amazing. You can actually choose physical therapy as your or pre-physical therapy, or actually biology, or any major you want going into college. But just know the first 2 years of the prerequisites, or the undergraduate classes for physical therapy also apply to other medical fields. Meaning, if they go in at, maybe their freshman year and they're like, I'm going to be a physical therapist, and they decide that they don't love it, it's okay, because those medical classes can then be applied to something else, maybe nursing, maybe being a personal trainer, being a physician, whatever it is they want to be, a scientist, it doesn't matter. Just know you're not wasting like a lot of time or money. Know that those, if they're going to stay in the medical profession, those classes are very flexible, and that they can be altered to the different tracks if they wanted to. So, and every school is going to be different. So just know that. But if you know that they're committed and they're going in college, if they were able to do the high school track that I just gave you, great. They're going to go into college so much more prepared. If you're like, well, they just expressed that they're in college and they just expressed that they're interested. Okay, that's not too late. I just wanted to offer something for parents who have high school or middle school students who are interested. So now, what about college? I would definitely start them on observation hours as soon as possible. Why? Because they need to see it every day, day in, day out. They need to see, 2 to 5 hours, 5 to 10 hours a week of what it's going to feel like to work in that profession. Now, as I mentioned, there are unpaid positions all over the place. And that way they don't have to commit. Maybe they have different classes. They can only do 2 hours this week or whatever it is in this semester, and they have a summer full load in the summer. That's why there's opportunities that exist. And most of the time you can go on to any local physical therapy clinic's website. For instance, ours, if you go to sportsperformancept.com/, I think, internship position, or whatever that may be, but just look at where we have a careers page, and we offer opportunities for people to apply, and depending on the hours they're looking for, that we find that fit. So look for those observation hours. Now, what's the best major for them to get into? I would say kinesiology is the term. It's a study of human movement. And what you want to do is get them into that field. Most schools provide that, some type of sports medicine or kinesiology or fitness and health track. They're not going to go wrong. Now, what you have to do is generally know what the prerequisites are to physical therapy school, and every school differs. So whatever school you get into, just know that they're going to have a track for you. Typically, they'll have something pretty fixed for you. I went to San Diego State. I was a kinesiology major with a pre-physical therapy emphasis. I'm not sure if they offer that still, but there was different tracks within kinesiology. You could do athletic training, you can do nutrition, you can do fitness and health. There was different tracks, but I knew I wanted to do physical therapy, so I went down that track. But the great part was, if I decided a year or two in, I could still reroute and go the other direction and get credit for what I had just taken. So just know there's different opportunities. At this point, you definitely need to have them lock in a mentor. They need to be seeing somebody who you just don't want them wasting time. You as a parent are going to do so much to get them in the right place, but you will be only able to take them so far because of the nuances of the profession, and maybe they know the tricks of how to get into this school, or they know they wouldn't waste this time this way. Have them find a mentor, put them in good hands, and then start looking at what schools would they be interested in. When should you start? I would say the sophomore to junior year. If you're looking at your junior year, it gets a little hectic, and it's not too late. They're just going to be rushing around, and then you risk having another year. Now, most people call it a gap year. So after you finish your 4-year degree, some people take a whole year off, and you can decide if that's right for you and your child. Would I recommend going straight into PT school? Yes. If you finished all your courses, you got the GRE score that you wanted, you had all your ducks in a row. If you have it all set up, I would highly recommend going straight in. I've seen a lot of people stray away, they change their mind, and that's nothing wrong with that. I just think that the commitment level is a little stronger right off the top, but I've seen a lot of people who take that gap year. I mean, I took 5 years, and I'm just giving different options, but I would highly recommend going straight from undergraduate degree into PT school. But look in your sophomore year, start looking at what schools they would want to. Now, which schools, how do you know which one's right for you? What I would do is look at what state are you open to? Meaning, what state within the United States would you be open to them going to? Most people in California, and I've heard this from numerous parents, I want them to stay in California. Here's what you have to know. The profession of physical therapy is impacted more than ever, and there are more people applying. I remember at the time when we helped start the physical therapy program in San Diego at San Diego State, there was a certain amount of admission requests coming in. And over the last 10 years, it's been exponential. More people are interested in this profession. It's a profession that will exist forever, because as we age, people are always going to have aches and pains. It's just the nature of it. People will always have injuries. People will always have illness. We will always have a job. And because of that, it's very lucrative for a lot of people. They know that there's job security. They know it's stable. They know it's a fantastic job satisfaction. People love their jobs. They're rewarded. They're fulfilled. And so because of that, it's very competitive. Now, when you apply to California, you're not just applying for you in California, you're competing with other states trying to get into California as well. And now people say, well, how much is it? And, I want to save on costs. That's why I want to stay in California. Just know in-state tuition, hands down, is the cheapest. Every school, I don't want to give exact numbers, but generally you're looking at maybe 15 to 20,000 a year for PT school. not including room and board. Now, that might be in-state tuition, depending on the school, and this is recorded in 2022. So whenever you're listening to this, yes, it could be 15,000 to 20,000. At the time I went to school, I finished my PT degree in 2008, and I know that in-state tuition was around 8 to 10,000 per year, and that is long gone since then. So that was for in-state state tuition. So know that and that's not even private, and private schools can be 40 to 60,000 a year. So that's not to deter you or scare you away. Just know that there's going to be such a very large a spectrum of prices and the types of schools. So you think about what other states that they would be open to. If I'm biased. I love the state of Ohio. My wife is from there, so we'd be open to physical therapy schools in Ohio. Just know you might need some backups, some different options. Now, most people want to compete and go into California state schools, if not private schools, and that's not a problem. Most people want to start looking around their sophomore year and then list your top 10 schools, put it on a Excel spreadsheet or a Google spreadsheet, and then start listing off what are the difference in requirements? What's the GPA requirement? What's the GRE requirement? How many is the letters of recommendation? Which one requires how many science classes? How many physics classes? How many biology classes? How many observation hours? Every school is going to be different. They require observation hours. At the time I went to PT school, I think it was like 200 to 300 hours of, I think, 3 different types of settings. So you can't just do it all in orthopedic setting. You might have to do some in a hospital or some in a different specialty. And so what you don't want to do, the reason why I said don't wait till your junior year is because by that time, if they say, hey, you need 300 hours, and maybe your child has a job and they're taking a lot of classes, they're not going to have time. So they're going to be very stressed out. You're going to put them in a position that where it's going to be very difficult for them to get those hours completed. So by virtue of that, they're going to have to take a gap year. And so if that's not what you want, then you want to get these things lined up a little sooner. So in their sophomore year, start lining up how many observation hours or what schools they are interested in, and then start looking at how many observation hours, the differences in the requirements and everything else. And from there, then you have this kind of dream track. This is what, if you ask me, Chris, if your son, daughter wanted to get into PT school, how would you start them off? In middle school and high school, I'd start them in observation hours. Find any local schools that have the nutrition or sports medicine, get them CPR certified. Go to different companies and have them observe and see if it's great for them. In college, I would have them work on a kinesiology major or an athletic training or personal training or nutrition major. I'd have them find a mentor outside of me, and then begin looking at schools in their sophomore years and all the prerequisites and put that on a sheet and have that on my refrigerator, and they can just stare at that and just, am I on the right track? Am I doing the things that I need to? Because between sports and school and work, they're going to have a lot of things. So what you don't want to do is overload them before it's too late. So just know that. As I mentioned, if they decide that it is not the profession for them later down the line, it's okay, because those classes that they took within sport, science and biology can still be applied to anything in the medical field typically. Just make sure you find a mentor. This is what I'm saying. I think you should find them sooner, whether that's a physical therapist or a counselor or whatever it is, or somebody who knows the profession. It's going to save you so much time, money, and effort and angst. So just know that that is possible. So what do you do now that you've heard all this? Is everything that I tell the parents and the clients and the athletes that we see at Sports Performance Physical Therapy in San Diego. Now, what do you do, right? So okay, so now you've seen the path and your kid is interested. I would say start by applying for an internship or observation hours. Now, some are part-time, some are unpaid, some are paid. Now, I don't. If you're in a position to be able to go unpaid and they can do this, it's worth every ounce of energy as a parent to know that you're setting them up for success by allowing them to make a decision much sooner, and they have a better idea. Because what they might see, and I've had this a lot of times too, parents say, well, oh, they saw they saw a person, on a pro sports game or a football game, and they saw somebody run onto the field and help somebody who hurt their ankle. And that's a profession of athletic training, which there is some overlap. But if you're looking for physical therapy where they're working in a clinic, they're helping people after surgery or sprained ankles or get back to running or weightlifting or whatever it is, and they enjoy that setting, that's perfect. That's what physical therapists are. And so you have to have an understanding of what you and your child have to, and the profession have to have the same view. Is this the right profession that I'm thinking of? And so I've had people come in and observe, and they're like, oh, I had no idea that you have to see this many people, and you have to have a big, large cup of energy at the beginning of the day, and you're going to be supporting people who maybe are in pain and they might not be feeling the best. And so you're always managing people's um, challenges in life. And so it has to be rewarding for you in order for you to do that day in, day out. And I think they have to get an idea. So I would hands down, if they're in middle school, high school, college, doesn't matter, or if they've already graduated, no problem, still do it. Have them apply. Get a minimum of 100 hours before they even have an opportunity to say yes or no. Because I think by that point, I've seen a lot of students come through. As I mentioned, I've gotten people into some of the best schools in the country, and the most successful ones have committed and they knew exactly what they were getting into and they were hungry for it. They are motivated. And so the first thing I do, apply for an internship. If you're interested in ours in San Diego, it's sportsperformancept.com, sportsperformancept.com/internship or internship program or internship application or internship position. Either way, you'll find it in our careers page or career tab. And just know that everything I'm telling you is what I would tell your child. This is exactly how I would move down the right path. And it's here to help you figure out if this is a place for you, if this is the profession for you. Now, we do have opportunities. So what we've realized is sometimes we have these superstar students who they just want more. They want to be around the clinic more. And so we've created a track for them to have part-time employment. And purely because I know exactly what they're going through and I know what that feels like. And sometimes they're having this big commitment and they would also like to get paid while they, learn and all these other things. And when they're that hungry and they're passionate and they want to be part of something bigger, we've now created a track for part-time employment with potential for future employment for those who maybe want to take a gap year or they want to make some money during their internship or summers. And if they're going to take a gap year, they can help out around the clinic, and it gives them more opportunity to learn more about the profession and the business side and everything else. So we immerse our interns into everything. They are part of everything, our marketing, our clinic cleanliness and everything else. Now, that's another point I wanted to make, that when people intern at our facility, one of the things one of the best things one of my mentors taught me is how you have to know how a facility runs and operates, and you have to know it from all angles in order to be a really good clinician. And why does that make sense? Well, you have to know what customer service is and what an experience a patient or an athlete goes through going to physical therapy. Are things clean? Are they organized? How do they appear when you first walk in? Are the floors clean? Are the mirrors smudged? How does that affect somebody's perception of your service and your care? And so a lot of times we have our interns learn the customer service side, so that way when they're a physical therapist, they're more successful because they know how important those things are. And they can also help other interns or other people in the profession understand how to service and provide the highest quality of service and experience for the person who is in pain, frustrated, and the last thing they want to do is have poor quality service or be in a facility that is not clean or organized. It just adds to more of their, I shouldn't say anxiety, but their angst or their fear of being in pain forever or being in that condition forever. So that's the approach we take with our interns, allowing them to see what really customer service is like, what the behind the scenes is like, how to manage a facility, how to clean it, maintain it, organize things. We test them on body parts and anatomy and how everything works, and they absolutely love it. And I would say is after doing all this, I would give them 100 hours and allow them the opportunity to do that. And from there, they'll have a really good idea. So there you have it. That's the track from middle school to college to post-collegiate to what would you do to who is this profession perfect for and who is it not perfect for. And I hope this helps all the parents out there. And if you're a student and you're listening to this, great, good for you. It'll help as well. But if you're a parent and you're seriously looking at this, I would highly recommend just following this track to a T. If you ever have any questions, I read every email personally. You can send it to teamsp, TEAMSP, at sportsperformancept.com, and we can help your child with whatever advice that they need, whether it's internship hours, is this right for them? We are here for our community. That's what we're built on, and that's what we continue to do, is support the future generation. They will be the ambassadors of this profession, and I'm biased. I said, as I mentioned, I think it's the best on the planet, and I want it to continue to be that. And for that reason, we take this very seriously. And if that sounds right for your child, just know that we have those opportunities, and there's a place for them down the road, whenever that may be, and they'll be in great hands. So I hope this helps. Feel free to email us or visit our website, sportsperformancept.com, if you have any questions. And I wish you nothing but the best, and best of luck with your kids. I know I will, down the line, be having these considerations as well. So I hope this helps, and feel free to reach out at any time. Thanks.